All right, fifth graders, we are going to be painting our clay bobbleheads today. So if you have not done so already, just make sure that you see your initials in both pieces. You would not want to be painting anybody else's projects today. So I have a messy mat at my table spot so that my paint messes stay on that mat and they aren't on the table. You will be sharing paint with your entire table today. So please make sure that the paint stays looking so nice and new. I see there's a splatter in that black, but for the most part, your paint should look like this when you're done. That means you're washing your brush really nicely in between colors. So at this point, it is a review for you guys. You have been painting clay for 6 years. So if you want an art shirt, get one. You may want to get 2 brushes, a big one and a small one. I prefer to start with the big one. So with the paint, you need quite a bit today. Your clay is really dry, and when you paint, the clay is like a sponge. It's just sucking up all of that paint. So it's going to dry really fast, which means you can use different colors on top of different colors. Do you notice as I'm doing this base coat, I am not just going back and forth. I am swirling my brush. I might need to even dab it to get into all those textures that I made. You will want to paint the edge of that pinch pot. You do not have to paint in the inside. That's your choice, totally up to you. So as I'm painting the green, I'm going back and forth, I'm going in circles, I'm dabbing those spots I need to get the paint in there. By the time I finish this green, where I started is very dry already, which is awesome. I am going to put my big brush in this cup. If I was going to use this big brush again, I would definitely want to rub it at the bottom of the cup and then rub it on the sides. That's still really dirty, so I might have to repeat that a couple of times. I like to squeeze out the extra water. It was dripping in the cup. If you want to get a paper towel to kind of rub your brush on, you can do that as well. It's definitely whatever your preference is. Now, if I would use this big brush again, I could because it's clean. I'm going to want to do the small brush because I'm going to try to paint these circles. So I am taking some yellow, and the green is pretty dry already. That little brush allows me to stay into those spots where I want it to. Now, the cool thing about 5th grade is you guys know how to mix colors. I know that green and yellow are next to each other on the color wheel. So if I mix them, I'm going to get a pretty cool looking light green. I'm going to try that with a little bigger brush. The green underneath is still a little bit wet, so it's allowing me to mix really nicely. Maybe I'll mix those spots in too. I kind of like that new green I just got. So colors that are next to each other on the color wheel will allow me to make some really nice new colors. Okay, maybe now I'm going to take that big brush, squeeze out that water, and maybe those spots are going to be purple. My paint is not entirely dry, but I'm able to cover it up fairly nicely. Maybe the best choice would be to just let that dry and start painting somewhere else. So remember, when you're painting your clay, you might need to swirl your brush, brush back and forth, or even dab to get all those textured spots. With that eye, I might make it all white, and then I'm able to put another color on top of that inside, which will look awesome. So when you're painting today, you're painting the entire top of the pinch pot, the edge. You do not need to paint inside. And then with the base, you can paint the whole thing. You do not need to paint the bottom where it will sit on the table. That's your choice. With this base, I have lots of surfaces in between all these toes, in the top, and there are a ton of textures. So take your time. You don't want to see this clay color when you're done. A nicely painted bobblehead will have the entire thing full of color without seeing spots between. So swirling, dabbing, brushing back and forth, and making sure your brush is either squeezed clean and rinsed well, or a paper towel. I know my rag is green, but a paper towel will help you get that as well. When you're finished, make sure you bring both pieces to the spot Mrs. Cleary has set up for your clay projects, and you are responsible for bringing your dirty brushes to Mrs. Cleary's table. She'll have a tub to soak them in. You will need to pop off this cap of your water cup, dump it out, and get new water in. And you will also need to wash your messy mat. So if you have a spot to wash, there will be rags at the sink.